Hi, I'm Rich Torrey. Welcome to another Level Up Cartooning. All you ever need to follow along with me is a pencil and paper. It doesn't get any easier than that, right? Well, welcome to a new year of Level Up Cartooning. For those who don't know me, I spent the better part of 30 years as an author, illustrator, and cartoonist. For 12 of those years, I created 2 syndicated comic strips. I did tons of magazine, greeting card, and book illustration, and I was the author of 16 children's books. I also taught drawing and cartooning for over 30 years. And now here at Level Up, I try to pass a little of what I've learned on to you, starting with today's drawing lesson. Today we're going to draw the children's book and movie versions of a very famous character. The movie version of which you will be certainly familiar with, the book version perhaps not. I'm speaking of Shrek, the odoriferous ogre who first started the children's book by William Steig before starring in 4 DreamWorks movies with a 5th slated for later this year or early next. And what I love about this type of subject is it touches on the fascinating topic of the creative process. We see a character in a children's book, a movie, or a show, and we kind of assume that that's how they always look, but that's the furthest thing from the truth. We don't have drawings of Steig's early concepts of what Shrek looked like, but I can tell you, as someone who's gone through the process a million times, characters change and evolve before and during the creation of a book, and the same goes for television and movie production. At one point, the movie version of Shrek was going to look like this, and be voiced by Chris Farley. Anyway, today, we're going to draw both the book and movie versions of Shrek, but before we get started, make sure you hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button as it helps this channel to grow, and hit the bell so you never miss a lesson. One other note, during the filming and the drawing of our 2 Shreks, my big head knocked into the camera I used to shoot the drawing and slightly shifted the angle, cutting off a bit of Shrek's elbow. Sorry about that. Anyway, what do you say we draw our 2 versions of Shrek? We're going to draw our 2 versions of Shrek step by step, giving you the secret formula to be able to draw him again and again. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know I normally use the character's head to figure out how big the entire character should be. In the book version of Shrek, he's a little over 3 heads tall. In other words, however tall his avocado-shaped noodle is, his entire body is a little over 3 of those. In the movie version of Shrek, he's about 4 heads tall. In other words, however tall his egg-shaped head is, his entire body is about 4 of those. Alright? So what do you say we draw our roadmap for our book and movie versions of Shrek? So there's our roadmap for our 2 versions of Shrek. Now before we go on to step 2, I want to give you the layout and the simple shapes for our 2 Shreks. For those of you who want a screen grab, again, just something to help you envision how to lay out your drawing. So now we're on to step 2. In this step, we do what I call roughing out the features. I want to remind you that until the 3rd and final step, you want to draw as light as possible. You'll see that I use guidelines to help me to know how to construct our 2 Shreks. We don't want those guidelines in the final drawing, so you want to draw them light enough to be able to erase them easily. All right, so let's rough out the features for our 2 versions of Shrek. Okay, so there are the roughed out features for our two versions of Shrek. So now with the roadmap done and the features roughed out, it's time for that final step. In step 3, we get to have fun. We get to draw in the final details of our two versions of Shrek. We don't have to guess where to put things because we've already done all the hard work to figure that out. As I often say, I want you to be present. And what I mean by that is you don't want to just mindlessly retrace over the lines you've already drawn. As you're drawing that final line in both versions of Shrek, you want to be thinking about how you might improve it, staying vigilant until the very end. All right, so let's draw in the details for our book and movie versions of Shrek. And that's how you do it. There you have it, from the classic children's book by William Steig and from DreamWorks, the book and movie versions of Shrek. So how do you think you did? Understand, if you've never drawn any version of Shrek before, then you can't expect to have drawn them perfectly. You'll notice I don't spend time coloring Shrek during this video because I want my lessons to focus solely on the drawing process. Now you have the secret formula, the process for drawing the book and movie versions of Shrek. And with that, you can draw him again and again. And by all means, color him when you're done. I promise each time you draw it, it'll be a little better and a little easier. I also promise the more you work with me, the better you're going to get at all of your cartoon characters. So I'd love to see your two versions of Shrek. If you can, take a picture and post it on either Facebook or Instagram, and don't forget to include the hashtag #LevelUpCartooning. I hope you had as much fun as I did with this one. Remember to subscribe, and thanks for joining me. Until next time, keep drawing, my friends.